Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome our speaker, Ender Zhang from Hybrid Lab.
As you can see, what we are going to do is we are going to use application. This application is basically just a mobile application, which allow you to create a live AR presentation experiences. Yeah, so that experiences will able to allow you to transfer the space, the traditional space, into something more, a lot more, interactive. Yeah, by using mixed reality kind of technology. Yeah, so let me just start to share screen. As well, you can see that we are doing this as a live demo. So there might be some faders time to time, but don't worry, it's just a process of getting all this set up. Okay, so I believe that now you guys can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so as you can see, that I came as just sitting in the small car. I think if you look around this office, this is actually how do we feel that the office might be used in the future. Now, we set up this new office recently because we feel that in the future they might no longer have a lot of permanent tables. So it's everything is just about built for the conversation purpose. But I think for us, we feel that even look at having a presentation as part of the work experiences. I want to always make it a little bit more engaging, a bit more like interesting. Yeah, so I think for us, we look at all this movement of change of communications. We always think about how this technology being so intuitive, so accessible to us, compared with what we had in the past, right? So we should look at the phones. The phone booth is actually a very basic infrastructure to allow you to do the communication over the audio, but you have to stick at certain point. So imagine that in the early stage, usually our office still using just a phone line. So you have a phone line in the office. You really have to sit there as a receptionist to actually pick up phone call every day. But nowadays, I think we probably no longer need it. Everything has been to mobile. So also same thing for the video communications in the beginning. It's very linear. It's very one side. So you have to be using a TV. You have to stay at home to watch TV because there's only a cable broadband kind of connections to your home TV. I think nowadays everything go to internet. Everything go to the web. Even the TV becomes smart TV. So we don't have to really watch TV at home. We can actually watch all these video streamings everywhere online. So, but what else can we do? So I think for us, you look at how does this consumer level technologies brings new impact into the working environment. Then we look at in the working environment, what has been changed. And so nowadays, I think we no longer see such machine called typewriter, right? So typewriter is something that has been invented in the early stage. If you look at how do they do the keyboard, it's basically following the the frequency of the words being used in the typing habit. And then I think after a while, if you go closer, you can definitely see the typewriter is very high classic design, but it might no longer be a case that we need it because now we have a different type of digital solutions. And even about how do we deliver the message, right? In the classic office, we have things like a printer, right? So basically, a printer will help you to deliver the message in the physical copies and send over. And so nowadays, I think the printer might also not be essential, especially, for example, in this office, there's no printer. Basically, everything has been fully digitized. You just send email, you just like to communicate over different kind of new tools like Slack, WhatsApp. I think those are the kind of transformations. So there might be something different, something a new meaning for the way how you work and why do you even need a working environment as an office setup. So I think one of the ideas we are thinking about is what kind of a new collaboration model we have nowadays is based on the accessibility of technology happening from the cloud. So for example, you can easily imagine that nowadays the design work, the programming works has been highly decentralized. So you have a team in different countries, they'll be communicating over internet, actually helping something about all these online working groups. So to do all those cloud-based, basically the content sharings and the co-editing. Even now, if you look at the programming and the design, 3D designs, like all these design softwares, they allow you to do co-editing in real time as well. Then meanwhile, another type of trend is people who actually have a very limited knowledge of creating creative content. For example, like infographics, animations, or some like different type of video content. And this kind of trend is also going to be very accessible. Like there's software called Canvas and software called different cloud-based like vectors. Those softwares will allow you to just easily build content. Of course, there's a lot more libraries, free libraries online. So like Sketchfab just get acquired by Epic, becoming the largest 3D libraries. So I think all these libraries allow people to create a new content for the future world. So I think there will be questions about how can I create content which is relevant to them? Actually, if you look at how those online library has been growing, they always try to give you some good template which allow you to actually fit in the topic for the conversation. I think that's why I think for us it's maybe one of the ways the future of work, including how do you actually communicate with each other in the business domain. We no longer need a traditional kind of slides presentations, a 2D kind of videos. You might just go straight to something more intuitive, more 3D, more interactive, especially for the design industries. You look at the design space, you might think about design different objects. For example, you can look at the machine design, right? So you actually have a manufacturing plants or logistics firms. You actually want to set up something and you want to demo this to the user. And instead of bringing them to the factory, bring them to your warehouse, you might actually just immediately launch something in front of them so they can observe, they can look around. Basically, having this technology, you just simply walk around the whole space. You can walk around for me. Yeah, I think my colleagues actually just help to hold the camera, but you can just walk around and look at the different angle. So it's much easier for us to actually understand how the machine works. So which is actually go way beyond a traditional 2D presentation limitation. And of course, there'll be something else we can do. Yeah. So for example, you can look at a lot more than what we really call a change of printer, right? Now this is a new machine. This is a 3D printer. So what we are seeing at the corner of the 3D printer actually is the ink. It's basically the PLC kind of materials. So basically, you're able to use a 3D printer to print out the design materials from whatever have a design from the cloud. I think these are the process happens. And lastly, you can look at those blending of real and virtual. Imagine that you are using a technology to design your robot. Yeah, so your robot can be a physical robot which have a lot of programming components that you might not be able to see through it easily from just observing. But by bringing mixed reality or new technologies like interactive media, you're able to see maybe the breakdown of the robot. You can see all these components, which you can imagine that you can build that digital assets as a digital twin of your actual assets, which also help you to communicate and help to learn how to do more developing debugging using the simulation method. I think these are the technologies being quite a lot flexible, but the simple thing is you always start by visualizing something in the space. And the space, it will give you a good sense of size, a sense of observing the tangible experiences when you don't have much access to the object as well. I think lastly, you can even think about the communications. You might no longer really need to go there to talk to them. You might eventually become a presenter. So the presenter will actually help you to just present for you. It's like a holo presentation as well. I think these are different type of technologies nowadays is very available. I think a few things we are observing for our user is they are growing some capabilities. Some of them, they actually are able to do their own setup, home setup, using a green screen to convert their office into a telecommunication studios, but which all this content can be immediately used in the mixed reality domain. There are always users who also using their mobile phone to do the 3D scanning. They can capture the design works, capture the environment, so they can use those kind of captured objects to actually also create sharp experiences online. And I think for us, what we have been seeing is from the design, the 2D design, the 3D design, to actually the hologram productions, all these kind of materials is getting a lot more accessible for today's user to use it for the near future. I think for us, we believe that this possibility of having mixed reality in your working environment to be used in communications, to be used in business presentations, is getting a lot more accessible. It will definitely speed up the way how people make decisions. So this is what we have been driving. I think using one simple software you can do this. I believe there's a lot more software so you can install the market to have to create a similar experiences to achieve your agenda. Yeah, so that's pretty much covers what I'm gonna share in AR. So maybe now I just go back to the table. So to continue the session.
And the team behind BeyondX, thank you very much. See you in the next cycle next year.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ender. Thanks.